Jump off that exhausting hamster wheel and into balanced living with Dr. Marissa.
Promise you joy in the mystery.
Dr. Marissa, also known as the Asian Oprah. Her mission, to be a beneficial presence on the planet. Her purpose, to be your personal advocate to live, laugh, love, learn. Her life motto, don't die wondering. Take back your life with Dr. Marissa Pay.
And welcome. You are tuned into my weekly talk radio show called Take My Advice. I'm not using it. Get balanced with Dr. Marissa every Tuesday at noon, naturally high noon, out of the Sunset Gower Studios in Hollywood, California, with UBN Radio TV. That's Universal Broadcasting Network. And then every Thursday at 7, Saturday at 1 on my syndicated CNBC News Radio, NBC News Radio station, KCAA, AM 1050, FM 102.3, FM 106.5, and everywhere now syndicated on iHeartRadio, everywhere from New Mexico to New York and New Jersey. Thank you for all of the love that I get on social media, for tuning in on different AM, FM stations with iHeartRadio. And I'm so grateful that this is a show about hope and happiness. So there's no gossip, no scandal, and no K words, no Kardashian talk at all. Instead, I want you to focus on your own reality show and how you could be happy 88% of the time. And as per usual, giving a big peace shout out, peace in, peace out to a number of people, starting with this weekend, I got to cover the Catalina Jazz Tracks Festival, and it was freaking amazing. 3 days of amazing jazz from the greats, and I wanted to especially thank Art Good, the brainchild of Heart and Mind and Soul, with his festival. 31 years now, he's bringing us the best in jazz. Art Good, and he's also a show sponsor. Thousands of dollars worth of tickets that he gave away on my Asian Oprah giveaways, and he's already confirmed for next year to do the same thing. So keep it tuned here, because you get a ticket and you get a ticket and you get a ticket. So, and I'm so grateful that a lot of my listeners got to enjoy and appreciate them. Shout out to Beverly, whose birthday it was as well, and all of my listeners. I can't, there's just like way too many to go through, but I would like a special shout out to the magical performers, David Benoit, Marc Antoine, Greg Adams, Tower Power, his Marc Antoine's beautiful wife, Rebecca, who I met 12 years ago, and it was our first time getting to see her again, and it was fabulous. And her son was this big, and he's a gorgeous teenager now. So peace in and peace out to them, as well as an amazing 14-year-old drummer that played with David Benoit, who found him when he was 12. Sax aficionados, Gerald Albright, Eric Marienthal, new sensation Jasmine Gent, who actually got me to sing into her microphone on her saxophone, which was kind of fun. And special thanks to my cameraman, Trevor Floyd. Sorry, I always call him, it's Trevor F. Lloyd. Trevor Lloyd, who was just a wonderful help in helping me tape all the interviews. I would like us to stop for just a moment, though, and take a deep breath in through the nose and release a breath of comfort, peace, and to Trevor's family. His father unexpectedly passed when we got to the island, and he's now in Utah taking care of all of the celebration of his father's life activities. So peace in and peace out to you and your family, Trevor, and to Ralph Lloyd, who left an imprint of love and laughter and Trevor's sarcastic sense of humor, which I get to enjoy. All right. Also, peace in, peace out to several great customer service on the island, Cartopia and Omar for our golf cart, Celeste at the Lobster Trap, and Jazz Security Phil. for the festival as well. Happy birthday to Mike, Rebecca, and Beverly. One last very great customer service excellence. I drove Trevor to the airport, and my air conditioning in my beautiful little Lincoln went out. And so I was able to get in and out of Caruso Ford Lincoln. They take great care of me. Special shout out to Jose and Edith and Ronnie for taking care of me there. All righty, and it is now time for my, I almost forgot, this was, would have been bad. Happy belated birthday to my beautiful 83-year-old mom, Rose, my 9-year-old niece, beautiful niece, Rachel, in Toronto, and my incredible 18-year-old Sarah Way, my heart, who got a nice surprise party from her favorite mom. We surprised her, and thank you to, where is she? Her name is Ariel, for doing the taping of that surprise party. Xie for all of the help, all of her friends that made that evening magical when she turned 18. And if you see her cake, it says happy legal to get scratchers day. So that's that. All right, and it's time for my special guest, and he is flying in from Denver. And as usual, when there's flights involved, you just never know. But I will introduce him now, and then I will get to read one of his books as we are setting up for him. I will tell you he's from Colorado-based. He's an author who's published a growing series of children's books called Conscious Bedtime Stories Club, is already garnering public notice and industry accolades, including 4 Mom's Choice Awards for Excellence, gold medals for The Boy Who Searched for Silence, The Hug That Got Stuck, The Elephant Who Tried to Tiptoe, and The Laughing Witch. So he has this brilliant idea that the last 20 minutes before bedtime are some of the most precious with your children, and he wanted to celebrate that. So he's come up with an entire book series, and he's probably one of my first guests who in my introduction of him on social media, saying he's my guest next week, has had the most endorsed comments of, I love his books, and they're wonderful. And so we're going to give him a warm welcome and applause. So I know he's checked in, so he's on his way. But here's to Andrew Newman. Yay! And perfect timing. He's right here. That was your applause. I love the timing. I just knew you were here, and we just kept going as if you were going to be here. So good to see you. All right, so there's your mic, and if you would grab those cans and put them on your head. Fabulous. And you just got your applause, and why don't you sit up as close as you can and sort of eat that thing. Perfect. Yes, and all the way from Denver, Colorado, flew in just for today, and I'm grateful for that. And so let's just start right up into what? Okay, I got it. I haven't done this in a while. I have a friend. She doesn't have an answering machine. She has a questioning machine. And when you call her, she says, who are you and what do you want? So, Andrew Newman, who are you and what do you want?
Oh, wow. Well, you know, I'm just a guy who's had a personal path of healing and a real curiosity to study healing. And I've noticed that kids, everyone who came through my healing practice and my therapy practice was dealing with an issue that started before they were 6 years old. And so what I want is to be able to bring some narrative that's true to the times for morals and values and ethics. I want to help parents connect with their children in the last 20 minutes of the day so that we can grow esteem and confidence in the kids.
Fabulous. That's fabulous. Now, I'm sorry, but your accent does not sound like Colorado.
It's from Texas. No,
Yeah, sarcasm.
Cape Town, South Africa.
Cape Town, South
Yeah, I'm an
Africa.
apartheid baby, and my final year of high school, Nelson Mandela got released. So I grew up with all of the influences and the peculiarities of that era.
Wow. And then when did you come to the States?
I've been here 2.5 years.
2.5 years. And what prompted that?
Well, I got lucky. I won a green card in the green card lottery.
Wow.
If you didn't know that there's such a thing, there really is,
Wow.
or there was.
Uh-huh.
Whether it lasts, we'll
Oh.
wait to see.
No comment there.
And I took that as divine providence and a clear
Yes.
sign to come and have an American experience.
That's beautiful. Do you miss anything about South Africa?
Well, being back here today in LA and being at the seaside, no, it's been nourishing. But that's living in Colorado, the one thing that I miss.
Yeah, for sure. And if you don't mind, I am so excited. I actually wanted to be able to read one of the favorite ones that, and it's so lovely. He pre-sent all of his books, so I have all of his books, and I will be giving some away, the ones that I don't want to keep.
Let's do that.
But for the Asian Oprah giveaway. But I thought instead of talking about the books, that we would experience my favorite. And I used to love going. I was the volunteer that always wanted to go read to children. And I actually have a children's book. I know the show's about you, but I just wanted to say,
mention some crayons.
yes, the Mommy, What Are Feelings?
Right,
And my
brilliant.
daughters did all of the coloring, and you can actually not purchase them anymore. I'm sold out, so I'm waiting for. Thank you. Waiting for my next book to come out next August, 8 Ways to Happiness, and then that should garner enough interest in other publishers to pick that one out.
Bring the kid story out again.
Yes.
Fabulous.
So, but this is The Hug That Got Stuck, and how do you come up with these titles? Because they're brilliant. Like the bee who could not choose his flower, the forgetful elephant.
Right. Right. The boy who searched for silence. Well, the stories tend to come to me more than me sitting down to write them, and they always come out of a community experience. The boy who searched for silence, I had done a 4-day silent retreat, and I got this familiar knock, knock, knock on the inside, and I'd like go and get my pen, and the story arrives almost fully formed.
Right.
And of course, in many ways, I'm the key character in each book.
Of course.
Right.
Nothing wrong with that.
I've had a stuck hug before, and we'll see what that's about now.
Yes, that's beautiful. And if you've just tuned in and you're wondering why I'm holding a book in my hand, I have award-winning author Andrew Newman on the air, live in studio, all the way from South Africa via Denver, via LAX, over here to share his beautiful books with us. So I'm going to read this. This is The Hug That Got Stuck, and we'll see how long it takes.
And Marissa, you know I'm not going to let you skip over the snuggle breathing, which starts the story time. And so let me take us through that quickly.
Please.
Breathing in, I breathe for me.
Okay.
I breathe for you. I breathe for us. And I breathe for all that surrounds us.
That's beautiful. Thank you.
We want mum and kids to settle for story time. We want the connection to open, the phones to go away, the distractions that of whatever they've still got to do after they've tucked the little ones in. And this is the doorway, that little breathing
The little
practice.
breathing. Isn't
yeah.
that funny? Because, I teach balanced Tai Chi Gong, and it's all around the breath. And that's how we start.
And you hold it perfectly.
Oh, thank you. All right. Once upon a time, on a very ordinary day, deep in the center of a very ordinary heart, an extraordinary thing happened.
Cue the music. Dun, 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 dun.
Beautiful artwork. Deep in the center of this heart was a hug factory. The hug factory made the most warm, cozy, cuddly hugs. Look at the beautiful hug factory.
There's a whole, the
Yes.
hug, baby hugs are growing deep in the
that's
center of the
really
heart,
cute.
hydroponically drip fed by stardust, rainbow light, and warm fuzzy feelings.
Wow. Each hug was freshly made and specially encoded with just the right amount of love and care to delight the heart it was made for. Personal hugs. Being a hug wasn't always easy. Sometimes a lonely thought or bad feeling would trap a hug into a sticky web.
And if you look into that web, you'll see things like, nobody loves me.
Horrible.
I'm
Who
not good enough.
cares? I'm not good enough. Ooh, lonely. So, to help hugs deliver their love and care, there was a big sign on the factory wall. Reminders to being a great hug. Number 1, breathe in love to glow brightly. 2, focus entirely on the heart the love is for. And 3, don't pay too much attention to the web of sticky thoughts. On most days, you could see streams of hugs entering and leaving the door of the heart, zooming away like bees from a hive, but not on this day. On this day, there was a problem. One special hug on its way out of the heart got stuck. Very, very stuck. Oh, the web says, who cares, anxious, horrible. This hug had forgotten the 3rd rule. Uh-oh. It fought against the web of sticky thoughts to get free, but every wiggle and squirm trapped the hug even more. Soon the hug ran out of breath and lost its glow. Inside, the heart became horribly congested with crowds of hugs waiting to get out. Unused hugs were put into boxes until every inch of space was filled up. Inventory, hug inventory. Outside the heart, there was also a problem. A traffic jam of visiting hugs couldn't get in to deliver their special love and care. Yikes, crisis. Soon the factory stopped making new hugs. Oh no.
Oh, it's getting dark.
There was only one stuck hug in the center of one ordinary heart, but all around the world, hugs lost a little of their glow.
The end.
No, never the end. Never the end. The hug sighed helplessly. It stopped wriggling, stopped squirming, and stopped fighting. In that moment, something magical happened. As it stopped wriggling, it breathed in love and glowed brighter. As it stopped squirming, it remembered the heart it was made for. As it stopped fighting, it slipped right past the web of sticky thoughts. Woohoo! Free! Free! Woo! Let's do a little applause on the free! Yay! It's never had that. The hug glowed brighter and brighter, zooming away toward the one special heart it was made for. I wonder whose that is. The hug factory clinked and whirled back to life. A flood of hugs passed in and out of the heart, each delivering their special love and care. It was just one hug who got unstuck in the center of one ordinary heart, and all around the world, an extraordinary softening happened.
The end.
Where's the end? The end. I'm looking for the end. Oh, then you have like a debrief on it.
Yeah,
How
we
beautiful
have a
is
hug meter
that?
at the back, and
Wow. We need 4 hugs a day for survival. We need 8 hugs a day for maintenance. We need 12 hugs a day for growth. Virginia Satir.
she's the
That's
founder
so
of family
great.
therapy, right? And in the early '60s, she came up with that quote. And if you've ever counted, firstly, it's a lot of fun to count,
Right.
particularly if you've got other friends counting with you.
Right.
And then you can get your hug count up to 12, and it's like, can we do it in studio?
Yes. Well, you have to come over to my hug. Yay! Actually, we'll do a special one. I'll go to his mic this time. Heart, no, go. Yeah. It's heart to heart.
Heart
When
to
I
heart.
do balance tai chi gong, it's always heart to heart. There we go.
Heart to heart, left to left.
Yeah,
Beautiful.
that's how people know that they've learned with me. And I did that on purpose because all of these shows go to YouTube. And I would love it if my listeners actually let me read their children a bedtime story, and you can just click that part out. I'm going to edit it, so I'll have a whole show, and then I'm going to take that out and send
can
it
read
to
it.
my friends.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
That's
lots of stories for you to read.
yeah, absolutely. I just love, what a wonderful, no wonder I was telling before you got in that, I always announced my guest right after the show of the week before. And you're the first one where people were like, I love his books. I read his books, blah, blah, blah. It's like, wow, we don't need to do any promo here.
Well, they're finding their way out into the world. We're a very young business. We have our first subscribers who have chosen to take a book a month. And I really, for parents who want to support this particular value in their home.
Yeah.
It's just like a New Year's resolution. It'll be forgotten by the 15th of January unless there's some structure in place.
Right.
And so the subscription offers that structure. But of course, lots of people just coming to consciousstories.com and choosing their favorites.
Right.
The right message for the child at the right time. Like if you're dealing with choice and your little one needs to work out how to make better decisions, then the bee who could not choose his flower. In fact, we've changed the gender because I learned that it's the female bees who go looking for pollen. So it's the bee who could not choose her flower from now on, so that I'm educating correctly along at the same time.
Right. Good job. Good job. It's always better. Women are always better. Anyways, but that's another show.
we can talk about men's work and the dialogue.
I think it's going to be a book that comes out of that one. The woman, the girl who thought she was better than the boy.
Right.
Right.
Well, and that brings up the issue of comparison, and kids are doing comparison all the time.
Yes.
And the elephant who tried to tiptoe is the story that speaks to comparison, particularly on a body consciousness level, because kids have to love themselves the way that they are. And not only kids, actually, I mean, it's our work, isn't it?
Right. It's our work. Honey, I'm not a kid, but I still have that issue.
Right.
Yeah. I say constantly, if I could see myself half as beautiful as people say they see me, I am golden.
Right.
But I still wake up with fat and ugly attacks, like not all the time, but more often than I really want to, for sure.
Right.
You know,
and that's going to eat into your 88%, isn't it?
It is,
Yeah.
absolutely. Well, you did your homework. Absolutely. And it does. What age would you say, because you have a barrage of experience with children, at what age do you think, or have you seen them start that comparison road?
I think it's very young.
Yes.
I mean, I'd say certainly by 3 it's happening.
Really?
Okay,
I thought it was later,
Well,
but that's
it also
okay.
depends on the sensitivity of the child. And in a certain way, because I was a sensitive child who didn't really get recognized as that and didn't have a background that would ever have nurtured me as to be the healer, I understand that for some kids, things go right in. And the comparison can go like really deep into them. It can affect their self-esteem. It can affect their confidence.
Right,
They have these little moments in the day where they have almost a micro depression because the comparison happens. They see somebody's better than me, and then the material of shame and guilt is just queued up, ready to run.
Yeah.
And this is if they go to sleep on that. It's
coded.
Let's just
It's
say
coded.
it's coded. That's
Yeah,
a great
yeah.
way of saying it.
Yeah.
They wake up the next morning and their esteem level is not what it could be.
Right.
Because there's this belief system that's in the way of it. And all that it takes to heal those little micro depressions is beautiful connection. And when mom or dad comes in lovingly, the parents get to sit alongside their children. Story time is something that happens with your child, not to your child. But so that different posturing is really supportive for kids just feeling like they belong and that they're safe to be themselves.
Yeah. I just had this great idea. I'm looking for a sponsor right now. Wouldn't it be beautiful if somebody out there who is maybe of retirement age and they have money set aside and they want to do something meaningful with even like a couple $1,000s is my thought, is to buy a subscription for children who are in foster care, in adopted, in the homes, in any kind of homes in LA County or in Denver or wherever it is, that you would hook up with Andrew and partner to make sure that those places have a book a month.
I would absolutely love that. And
wouldn't that be awesome, that children that young who have had a little trauma already, that doesn't begin to shape their life that way, that they can focus on what is working and where the love is.
Yes.
I'm challenging. I just know that there's somebody out there who's listening who's been waiting for something meaningful to do, because I always like to do that on the air, is give people meaningful things to do. So I would like to challenge. I can't wait to see who steps up to that. So for whoever does that and contacts me, message, or my website, the number 4balance.org, I'm going to give them the choice of books that they would like to take from my collection.
Yeah,
How's that?
that's beautiful. And I will support this with as many books as we can as a business. I also want to say there are so many teachers who come past. Well, yeah, I do little farmers market stands, and it gives me a great opportunity to meet with people.
Yes.
And teachers are taking money out of their own wallets to buy books and resources for their classroom. We need to support those teachers.
Yes.
I have a teaching aid that goes with each book that makes it easy for them to take it into the classroom. So many teachers are overwhelmed by their workload, and so anything we can do to make it easier. Absolutely.
Are you doing like library tours?
I haven't started with libraries. I've done a few in my local region.
Okay.
Similarly with schools in the local Boulder, Denver area.
Okay. Okay. Because I totally see that. Karen.
Sign me up. I'm in.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah. It's funny because Karen had a dream about me doing book tours. I'm having the same kind of visioning that this is totally, because this is when it needs to start. So what I was asking you the question because it's career days that I go to. I love warping young minds, and I've been doing it ever since my kids were young. And I noticed that even kids who are born in non-dysfunctional homes, healthy homes.
Right.
We live in a nice area in Seal Beach, and most of the families are, I wouldn't consider dysfunctional, but the national average is 7 out of 10. Oprah says 8 out of 10. As high as 93% in dysfunctional homes.
Right.
And it seems that it shows up even in healthy homes around 10, when kids have that voice that begins to tell them that they're not good enough, they're not worthy, they're too sensitive, there's something wrong with them.
Right.
So, but if you're saying it's as early as 3,
well,
then we're...
regardless of when it starts, we've got to provide the antidote for it as young as possible.
Correct. I totally agree. So there's no chance for that to take root.
Right.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so tell me, I'm going to do a little quiz on your books.
Yeah, that's good.
So The Elephant Who Tried to Tiptoe is good for children who are starting to compare themselves to others.
Right. When we want them to learn to love the body they have.
Okay, and then The Silence, you mentioned that came because of your silent retreat.
It is a meditative journey, but the quest that the boy goes on is to find silence because he struggles with the noises of everyday life. And there's confusion, advertisements, programs, instructions, and advice.
Right.
And he goes looking outside of himself, can't find it, sets up anger and despair and helplessness. And through the act of surrender, he falls inwards and he lands right into silence.
Interesting.
So it maps the route that almost every time I sit down for a meditation, I go through that route. And then I fall inwards. There's always a little resistance, there's always a little frustration, and then there's this landing. And silence, I want silence to be a friend.
Yes.
Because there's so much of like sit in the corner and be quiet is so different to silence.
Let's breathe into the silence and connect with who we really are. Yeah, beautiful. I just looked at the time. I didn't even see your tag here for it's time to thank the sponsor of today's show. So we'll be back in 2 and 2. Peace in and peace out. Want to shop with some free champagne in hand? Ha! I got your attention. Yes, join me at the Lakewood Country Club November 1st through 4th for another Timeless Treasures pop-up boutique. Over 120 artisans and craftspeople will have everything you need to make your home holiday beautiful. Free parking, admission, coffee, music as usual, and a free gift as usual for the first 44 who mention Dr. Marissa. For more information, go to timelesstreasuresboutiques.com. And thank you so much, Dawn, for being a fabulous sponsor on my show. We'll give her a little applause. And it's really lovely. My other mom, Dolores, is actually 84, and she makes all of her arts and crafts, and that's how I got Dawn to be a sponsor, because she's there. Please go visit them November 1st through 4th at the Lakewood Country Club. And today, we are so blessed to have an award-winning children's book author on the air with me today, Andrew Newman. You are tuned into my weekly talk radio show called Take My Advice. I'm not using it. Get balanced with Dr. Marissa. Every Tuesday at naturally high noon here out of the Sunset Gower Studios in Hollywood, California at Universal Broadcasting Network, radio and TV, and then syndicated and repeated every Saturday at 1, Thursday at 7, syndicated on CNBC, NBC News Radio Channel, KCAA, AM 1050, FM 102.3, FM 106.5. It is the home of Dave Ramsey and Stephanie Miller as well. And then on iHeartRadio all the time. Just Google Dr. Marissa and you will find me splattering hope and happiness all over you. Andrew Newman has won. Tell me about your awards.
Well, we won the Best Series Award from the Moonbeam Award Program, and then the Mum's Choice Awards, gold medalist for the 4 stories that we started the collection with, which we've just looked at the first 2 of them. You've read The Hug, and the 4th one, and that is the Laughing Witch, and she's helping kids connect with sacred space and nature, and we have lots of those heading out this Halloween. Oh,
I'm sure. The first promo that I clip arted together, I had a picture of you, picture of me, a picture of your books, and this picture, but it ended up beside me, and I said, I am not going to say that I'm the Laughing Witch, so I made a new one.
Right.
So
yeah, she's too green. You know?
Yeah, she's cute,
Yeah.
but which is not what I necessarily want to aspire to. So what is your hope for? So personally, do you have children?
I don't have children. These are my babies. Actually.
These are your
Yes.
babies. Okay.
Yeah.
One day.
Sure.
Yeah. Okay.
Absolutely.
Sorry, I'm digging now.
That's your job.
That is my job. That and I'm
pleasure.
trying to figure out how I can make you cry now. No, I'm kidding.
It's funny, the
That's it.
stories can do that occasionally, not only for me, but I often, the thing about creativity is anyone who's made something will know that once you've made 2 or 3 things, then the first thing you made no longer feels good enough. Which is kind of funny, and so I rely on the readers to come back to me and go, wow, that story still really touched me, and I go, oh yes, now I remember how I felt when I made it.
Yeah. So that sounds like a little bit of a perfectionist in there.
I certainly have that.
Okay, you
and,
resemble.
and what a learning process. Like, I don't come from a publishing background. I mean, I'm a 4th generation retail jeweler with diamond grading diplomas and marketing, and then all sorts of other things that I've done.
Interesting.
But it's been my through my training at healing schools that my creativity got nourished as an adult. It wasn't deeply nourished as a child. I learned that I was creative in my 30s, and trusted the process once I started writing. And like you and your daughters create a little story, right?
Yes.
And and so many parents are saying to me, "Oh, I've got a story," and I'm like, just do it.
Yeah.
Let's go. Let's get out there and make it.
Yeah,
And
there is a writer in everyone. There is a story in everyone. And artistry is not just for artists. I think that if we, it's not just a special little group of hypersensitive, highly creative people. I think everyone has that little bit of writing or acting, or all my clients, I tell them the 3 healing emotions are love, peace, and creativity.
I love that.
So yes, in fact, you should know that because I just read that you opened for Deepak Chopra somewhere.
I did.
That's pretty huge.
It was a great event in my life. He was speaking at the Oregon Convention Center, and I spoke on children being the future of well-being. And because it's really, they're going to be our leaders.
Right.
They're going to be our thinkers.
Right.
And and they come in. Well, I'm cautious about the language, but they seem to have levels of wisdom that keep evolving, and that 3, 4, 5-year-olds are really tapped in a way that I know I wasn't.
Right.
And
right.
then they get confused if the world doesn't support that.
Right.
And so here's
And
one of the ways.
they're told there's something wrong with them,
Right.
instead of there's something very right with them. I still think that many levels and many kinds of autism are tapping into a gift that we don't necessarily recognize in the
Right.
mainstream, which is and it's more and more. So we better have some way of looking at it instead of that it's a problem, because
Right.
it's prevalent now.
And in the African villages, the child who has this sort of slightly different disposition is typically recognized as a healer, and they're supported, and their presence is really recognized.
In a positive way.
Yeah, absolutely.
Instead of it's interesting. Not here, at least not now, but we are shifting. We are recognizing. I think Rain Man was one of the great, first
Dustin Hoffman.
movies
Yeah.
that sort of showed that side, that there's brilliance. And I think we are, especially I think the millennials are helping us recognize the value in diversity. And for that, I am truly grateful. We are really coming into a balanced side. So knowing you're spiritual and I'm spiritual,
Yes.
and for those of you who've stumbled on my show and are not real clear on the difference, so this book actually says the prayer who searched for God.
This story is written in Israel during an interfaith peace camp that I was part of the leadership team of. So this is typically how the stories come for me. They're community experiences. I mean, Israel, for all its troubles, is just such a deeply spiritual place. Doesn't matter which path you're on.
So for you, did you grow up with God?
I grew up with an Anglican church upbringing.
Okay. And so at what point did you tap into something that's a little different or the same or deeper?
Really late 20s.
Okay.
I mean, for many people, there's a big transition between 29 and 32. And that for me was when the door opened to healing. It was first Reiki, and then that I wanted more science and more psychology, which is why I studied further.
So help me help those who might be, and there's a lot of listeners, because I'm not, I'm not a religious show, and I wear my spiritual coat every once in a while, but I don't, I'm not advocating. Everybody does know that I'm on faculty at Agape International Spiritual Center, and I sing in the choir, blah, 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 and my big brother is Dr. Michael Bernard Beckwith. But for someone else who, you're on this healing journey, what does that mean?
Well, it means uncovering more of oneself, and again, we're then talking about the layers that got put over us as kids, that we started to misinterpret the world and in some way shrunk back from expressing our own unique essence. We're all completely unique individuals,
Right.
and it serves all of us for each one to be living their truth.
So if we use the books as a springboard, so a child, let's say a child in our generation, even though I'm ageless, but in our plus more generations, we grew up, basically as children, we feel good. Right? You watch a child play, they're not punished for falling. They're learning how to walk, and they're celebrated when they actually, figure out how to walk, and they start to talk, and they're celebrated for how they're talking. And then somewhere around there, if they make choices that are not what their parents want, they begin embracing the message of, no, you cannot do this, you cannot say that, and when you do that, you're bad.
Right. It's not okay to be myself.
It's not okay to be myself. And that describes probably, I would say, 99% of the children growing up in our traditional society.
Right. And parenting was controlling in its nature, and that's evolving.
Yes. Well, I saw one of your endorsements was a friend of mine who's been on the show as
Dr.
well.
Shafali.
No, Susie Lula.
Susie Lula, of
yes,
course,
yes. So peace in, peace out. Hi, Susie. So what we're discovering now as adults, when I teach the Tai Chi, we do the butterfly form, which is to dispel the lie that there's something wrong with us, to dispel the lie that we're not good enough, and that we are each uniquely beautiful in our own color and pattern. So we have to undo all of those messages that we got. Okay, so it's like if we start early with the message that there is nothing wrong with you, and that you are unique in your talent, gift, and ability, and you don't have to do something that you don't want to do, and that you're not a failure if you do not become a performing success,
Right.
or a NFL football player, and that or a multi-billionaire businessman, but that there's so much success to be had at all levels with who you are exactly as you are.
Right, and for me, success is about growing into how I want to be, not what I want to do. And that distinction was never made in my education. But the term emotional literacy was only coined in the 80s. So it's a real currency now that's coming through schools, that the teachers are working with, the educators are talking
Right.
to kids, so that children are in touch with their emotions and the ability to express them and communicate them
Right.
without necessarily acting them out.
Right.
Even though acting out's going to happen because, well, hey, we're kids,
Right. And what's interesting is the whole BS, the belief system that I'm your parent and I know what's best and I'm here to teach you what is best so that you can do well in life. That's not necessarily true.
No. And,
Right.
and the person who has the best narrative around this for me is still Dr. Shafali. She's Oprah's go-to
Yes.
on conscious parenting.
Yes.
And she's just got this incredible way of explaining how there's a partnership. Children are here to help us awaken.
Right.
And
Right.
and when they're in the supermarket going, I want candy, or having their tantrum, my response as an adult is, it's my opportunity. It's like, this is a meditative moment. Let me see if I can hold my composure. I don't know if I'll be able to at this time, but I'm engaged in the practice so that I can still relate with kindness to them as opposed to aggression or separation.
What is the solution in those cases?
Well, it's a practice.
Yes.
This is truly like sitting on a meditation mat.
Yes. So you don't take the child away, or you don't.
Well, you're gonna work moment by moment on that. Sometimes you've got the muscle in yourself as a parent to take the deep breaths and to just stay with them whilst they work through the process that they're in. Other times you might make a choice to take them, go and sit on a car and just create a little bit more space so that the energy of the anger or the vent can have its space, and then it's gone.
Right.
Like I volunteered many years ago in a baboon rehabilitation sanctuary in South Africa, just to throw that in.
I would love to do that.
And the thing about them is they're like, the alpha male sits there and he goes, wah! And then it's done. It doesn't matter. The next minute, the same baboon that he was chasing away from the orange, can come and pick fleas off him, and he's happy. So it's just like this instantaneous thing that kids have energy that moves through them. They've got to express it, and then if it's allowed to, it will pass.
Right. That's my balance tool, INTBOD, INTBOAD. It's not that big of a deal.
There we go.
Yeah, or this too shall pass.
Right.
Easy said, but it is a new thing. I keep meaning to invite her on the show, so thank you for the reminder.
Yes,
You're going to have to
she'd
keep
love that.
reminding me. Yeah, that would be great. So your parents, What do they think about all this?
My parents have both passed. They passed
okay.
a number of years ago.
Okay.
But in a certain way, they've enabled me to do this.
Bypassing.
Bypassing, I know. It's a strange thing to say, but it's,
No, I hear you. I hear you.
you know, both in terms of personal accountability. I'm accountable to myself.
Right.
Right. And
Well, I'm sure they're very proud of you from where they are.
yeah, they
and
watched
they're
this
very
emerging
happy.
in the early days, and the
Did they?
stories were a great joy to them.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
I'm glad that you got to see that.
And they
from
were very
them.
confused. They were like, "Who are you, and where did you come from?" But
This is not how I raised you.
it wasn't like that at all.
Okay.
But my mum had a very deep spiritual heart, and my dad was very creative, and he applied that creativity into designing jewelry.
Right.
And,
The diamonds.
yes.
The diamonds. Do you have siblings?
I have a sister back in Cape Town in South
Is she
Africa.
doing the diamonds? The
No,
family business? She's not either, huh?
No,
Yeah.
somebody called me a jeweler of souls, and I thought,
That's
I thought,
lovely.
I'll
That's
take
you're
that
setting
title.
them. You're setting them up,
right.
right?
Yeah, if we
You're
can do that.
helping putting the setting around them. Yeah.
That's beautiful. I haven't seen it that way.
Yeah. You're setting up the children and the parents.
Well, and
Yeah.
that's right. We've
We
We're
could
ready
write.
for
We could write.
kindness,
We
right?
could co-write one
I would love it.
with the diamond. It's all about diamonds, right?
The facets of life, right?
Yes. The latest download I got was when someone's irritating you. I used to say, they're like the oyster that covers the irritating sand, like making a pearl, right?
Right.
They're a pearl maker.
Right.
My latest one is asking yourself, what is the polish in the rub? So when someone's rubbing you the wrong way, what is being polished in you,
Beautiful.
on you? Yeah, that could be a good book too. Now you got me all thinking. I know what color I want, but that would be lovely.
And I
That
think
would
that
be
if we
lovely.
had, I get a lot of ideas being offered to me by readers
I'm
and,
sure.
and listeners, and again, my encouragement goes to write them.
Right.
Write them, and
Right.
and really you can. When I first wrote, the first book was a little light, and it was literally me with my journal, just going for a walk, and oh wow, I've got a poem, and I think it needs some pictures, and it was no more complicated than that. I had 4 stories before I thought about building a collection, before I thought about selling anything. It wasn't my intention. My intention
right.
was to express my own creativity, and
Beautiful.
and as parents, you get to, your kids are doing it all the time, so they can also really encourage you to do it, and
Beautiful.
you can have this little family bookshelf of things you created together. And
Isn't that beautiful? Isn't that beautiful? I'm just looking on my Facebook to see if there are any questions for you, because we're coming to the very end. But my last question, usually with guests, is who or what are you grateful for that got you to this place?
well, we've touched on some of those. My parents just a minute ago.
Yep.
And
What were their names?
Brian and Sheena.
Brian and Sheena.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And so my sister is Kirsty, and good Scottish name. And
Is that where you are? Scottish?
I'm Afro-Celtic, so half Scottish, half African,
For Celtic. Okay.
and I think there's a music genre.
Yes. How do you say thank you in your language?
In Afrikaans,
Yes,
it would be
Afrikaans.
baie dankie.
Buy a donkey. I like it. I can remember that because
well
it sounds
done.
like buy a donkey, right?
Yes,
buy
yeah,
a
buy a
donkey.
donkey, yeah.
Yay! All right, buy a donkey. And I'll teach you the Chinese, which is
Please.
xie xie.
Xie xie.
Yeah, not shit. It's xie xie.
Xie xie.
That's Mandarin. Very good. Very good.
Right, I learned
Yes.
something new.
Yes. So what else who else would you like to thank?
Well,
besides your mom
and then the particularly the teachers that I had that helped me unfold my creativity. And there was a whole school of them, but the school was organized by a lady called Dr. Barbara Brennan, and she's best known for a book called Hands of Light, and an incredible NASA physicist who got interested in healing and put the two worlds together of physics and healing, which is absolutely amazing.
Fabulous.
And
Fabulous.
The clients who came to see me when I was learning to be a healer and when I was running a therapy practice, they're my true teachers, just such gratitude to them for
That's beautiful.
for trusting me with supporting them on their journey.
Fabulous. Mr. Andrew Newman, you get Dr. Marissa's Beneficial Presence on the Planet Award. Not given to everyone. I love what you're doing with the children. And you can find him at www.consciousstories.com. And please do subscribe. And if you are interested in helping him provide these books to the homes or anywhere where children are not given necessarily a perfect start, then contact me at forbalance.org, and you will get all of the books that he gave me that I'm not keeping. And that's your Asian Oprah giveaway, even if it's one place that you're going to set it up, small, whatever investments you make would be wonderful, because I think I would like not just to give it away, but give you a chance to give back. All right, and that is it. Thank you so much for coming to the studio, Andrew Newman.
Such a pleasure.
I don't know if we already applaud, but you just get so many more extra applause.
Thank you so much, Marissa, for your work and your presence here.
Absolutely, absolutely. And it is time for the Balance Bar, where I invite you to step up at the end of the show to join me in the places that I'll be balancing. First is Everywhere, November 1st, round 77 of the 21-day fast from complaining with Dr. Marissa. Now we're into the 5 digits of thousands of people who are not, or trying not to complain, 21 consecutive days in a row. Please do get the app. It's only 99 cents on both stores, created by teenagers in order to help you challenge other people, posts, all of that kind of good stuff. And it houses all of the tips, the daily tips, as well as the videos, and has some funny sounds that come up when you are a complainer or spend the whole day not complaining. So that is for the 21-day fast, November 1st. And this weekend, join me at the Digital Footprints Conference in LA at the Sheraton LAX Hotel. You can register and get a $297 free admission for $1. If you go to digitalfootprints.net and just put in City Gala 2018. Thanks to Ryan Long's work with nonprofits, you not only get in for $1, it includes meals as well, and seeing me and saying hi and getting a little shot with my microphone for you. You also get fabulous speakers. Greg Reed, who did the Travolta dance, great speaker. David Corbin, another great speaker. The Ugg Boots founder, Brian Smith, and Priceline.com, Paul Hoffman, the co-founder, who I consider all fabulous people that I've gotten to flash peace with and do some interviews with. So join me this weekend. And again, go to digitalfootprints.net, use City Gala 2018 in the promo code, and you'll get in for $1. I've also been invited to speak on Soldier Field in Chicago next week. All my Chicago area listeners, please do get your tickets at journeysdream.org. It's also on Eventbrite. I might be singing, but I'm definitely moderating a panel there highlighting solutions for mental illness, which is a topic very near to my heart. 2 of my most important years of my life were spent as assistant manager at Hillview Mental Health Hospital, where I learned how fragile the human mind is and how precious life is. So please do join me there. November 9th, I have been booked and invited to speak at the USC Youth Mentorship Panel with X Factor YouTuber Emmanuel Kelly and many more. Get your tickets for that. You can go to Henning Morales' Facebook page. Great filmmaker, and I'll be there on panel. Get your tickets, and those of you who know that I taught at UCLA in the MBA school, do not go back and say that I'm speaking at USC. Also locally teaching in Seal Beach on Monday nights at 7 p.m. Balanced Tai Qigong, promoting inner peace one breath at a time. We had a fabulous class yesterday. So Mondays at 6, join you at the pier in Seal Beach. You can go to my meetup for more information. Finally, if you would like to work with me on the beach, because you know that you deserve more hope and happiness. I have a couple of spots left for my 2018. I could, because of my schedule, as you know, I only have a certain number of slots. So I am giving out free balance assessments to see if we're a fit. So please do contact me any way you can. The number 4balance.org is the easiest. And next week, a special treat for you. We have Dr. Davina Kotulski. And I always am a little nervous about pronouncing her name, but she's another award-winning author, and her book is Behind Barbed Eyes, and it's part of my sexual healing with Dr. Marissa series.
Are you
every
a
last
business
week of the
owner or
month,
entrepreneur?
because over 50% of women incarcerated
Are you a
have
business
had some kind of sexual abuse in their past. And if we can get to the bottom of that and really heal those places, then I'm sure that we will have less women making choices that ends them up behind bars. So please do tune in next week so we can look for solutions in another area of darkness that is just waiting for our light. So tune in every Tuesday, naturally high noon, Thursday at 7, Saturday at 1 on my weekly talk radio show called Take My Advice. I'm not using it. Get Balanced with Dr. Marissa Pay. That's P for positive, EI. And remember, it's all about balance. Peace in and peace out.
KCAA Loma Linda, 1050 AM, 106.5 FM.
And mixers. Did I mention their great prices? That's CRAFTDBEER store.com or Fred Crafted Beer Store on Facebook.com. Make it easy. Google Redlands Beer Delivery. Look for Crafted Beer.
Crafted Beer Store in Redlands is now open for business, and I'm here to deliver.
This is Dick from Carpet Masters. Carpet Masters has been serving the Inland Empire for over 60 years. We are locally owned and operated by the Stevens family. We not only clean carpet and furniture, we clean many loose rugs, including Oriental rugs. Oriental rugs are cleaned in our modern facility where the fringes are cleaned by hand, then hung in our modern facility to dry. We do not use steam cleaning to clean your fine furniture. Furniture is cleaned by hand using the same absorption cleaning used in the White House. Some furniture we bring into our plant to clean properly. We normally use 2 men on each cleaning job using the extraction method. There is nothing that will clean carpet better for our customers. Our job is to clean properly with quality first. Google Carpet Masters San Bernardino and give us a call, or go to carpetmasterssocal.com.
This segment is sponsored by Realtor Tammy Sutherland of Yucaipa and Realty World Premier, where she makes it her business to put happy people in happy homes. Here's what people are saying day after day.
Tammy did way more than we ever expected in a real estate agent. Without Tammy, we would still be renting.
I didn't think we'd ever find a house we loved, but with Tammy's help, we did. Now I get to mow the lawn every weekend. But then again, that's why we had kids. Brandon!
She made so much extra effort to sell our house and make sure that we understood every step of the way. Tammy always had our best interests at heart. I would highly recommend her.
So, if you want your perfect house, you can find Tammy Sutherland at Realty World Premier. Whether you're looking to buy or sell, it's homesbytammy.net or on Facebook at facebook.com/Realtor Tammy Sutherland. You can also reach her by phone at 909-556-2094. That's 909-556-2094.
A superior nutritional supplement called Arbor Vitae has taken Australia by storm, and it's now available in the U.S. Arbor Vitae contains a unique combination of maritime pine bark, aloe vera, honey, and an enzyme from papaya seeds. This potent supplement was developed to impact inflammation in the human body. Arbor Vitae helps blood circulation and respiratory function. Its anti-inflammatory properties can also relieve minor muscle and joint pain. To order, log on to ARBORVITAEUS.com or phone 1-800-570-0433 and enter code KCAA at checkout to receive a 10% discount. Arbor Vitae is Mother Nature's helping hand. Order this unique supplement now. Call 1-800-570-0433 and mention that you heard it on KCAA to get a 10% discount.
Come into Redlands in the Tri-City Center for scary savings. Get up to 4 weeks free on any new rental. 4 weeks free on any new rental, October 26th through the 31st. See store for more details. 4 weeks free on any new rental. At Renton Center at the Tri-City Center in Redlands.
The other stations claim to be local. Yeah, right. KCAA Radio, the only true local radio station on your radio dial.
Father John Reed.
When you are a man, sometimes you wear stretchy pants in your room. It's for fun.
Atheist pastor Luke King.
I don't believe in God. I believe in science.
The Gospel of Luke and John.
Let's get down to the nitty-gritty.
KCAA 1050 AM, 102.3 FM, and 106.5 FM, and online at kcaaradio.com. This is the Gospel of Luke and John. My name is Luke King, and I'm your atheist pastor alongside Father John Reed, the unorthodox Orthodox priest.
Hey, you can follow us on Facebook. Just search for the Gospel of Luke and John, or on Twitter or Instagram at Luke John Gospel. That's Luke John Gospel. Submit your questions there, or our producer, Tammy, is monitoring, and I'm going to get a really bad mark for that.
Yes, she is. You can also call us at 909-792-5222, 909-792-5222. That's 909-792-KCAA. We'll be taking your calls after 8:40. Basically, you can ask us anything and everything. We want you to have a place where you feel like you can call in and ask any question you want, as long as it's, radio appropriate. And if calling in makes you nervous, we totally understand, which is why you can submit your questions on Twitter and on Facebook. You could also, and we won't be able to answer this question tonight, but you could also write us. We now have an address. You can address things to the Gospel of Luke and John, 915 West Foothill Boulevard, Suite C, 162, Unit 162 in Claremont, California, 91711. Feel free to send checks, address made out to the Gospel of Luke and John, gifts. We love gifts, T-shirts, hats, anything like that.
Compliments. We love compliments.
Oh, we do. And speaking of compliments, we have 52 or 53 Instagram followers, and we would love to get to over 100 tonight, because in today's day and age, our self-esteem relies on how many social media followers we have, and it's a little bit low. So if you can make us feel like you care, go ahead and follow us on Instagram at Luke John Gospel.
And you can make up for the terrible day I had, because I had such an awful accident today. My beard trimmer went wild, and now I no longer have a beard.
But you have an incredible mustache. KCAAradio.com to see John's awesome mustache. I tried a mustache once.
Did you?
I did. It's on my Instagram, and I looked like people said I looked like an adult film star from the 1970s.
Wow.
They did. That's
incredible.
What they said. So now I just have the scruff.
That's frightening.
Hey, so we're going to talk about humor tonight. Speaking of adult film stars from the 70s and mustaches and humor, we're going to talk a little bit about humor, because people just kind of take themselves a little bit too seriously.
Oh, yes.
And they take their religion, or basically people just take everything too seriously these days. At least we feel like they do.
Yes. And of course, we've discovered that if you really want to change your life, you have to change your humor. There are some people who actually do laughing exercises before they open their business, because they found that with a happy crew, you actually do better in business. But why don't we talk a little bit about some of the humor that's in the Bible?
Do it.
You know, a lot of people don't understand that parts of the Bible were written with humor, but it's like trying to translate a joke from Spanish to English. You get the words, but at the end you think, what's funny about that? Well, you have to know the culture.
Because so much of humor is contextual.
Yes. And sometimes pictures help too.
It's true. They do.
So why don't we start off with one of my favorites, which is in the English Bible, it's called Jonah in the well. In the Hebrew, it's Jonah in the fish.
Now, if you're not familiar with Jonah, by the way, it's a really quick story. It's only 4 chapters in the Bible, so you can read it at your leisure if you'd like to. But the gist of it is that God tells this guy Jonah to go and preach against the city called Nineveh and to warn them because God is unhappy with them due to their wickedness. So rather than doing what God asked him to do, Jonah bails and jumps on a boat. And when he's on the boat, God sends a giant storm to rock the boat.
Yes.
And then
Don't rock the boat, baby.
Basically, Jonah gets thrown over the side, and a giant fish comes and eats him. And then I believe after 3 days, Jonah says he's sorry, and then the fish expels him onto the beach. And Jonah goes and tells everyone in the town that God is mad. The town basically does a 180, and then God decides not to destroy the city, and then Jonah gets mad because God doesn't destroy the city, and he's really upset. And God basically says, "Hey, I do what I want." That's the gist of the story.
Yes. Now let's go through and talk about why the story is funny. Because in Hebrew, what's taking place to them would be hysterical. Again, let me make a reference to the Spanish culture. With some of the Spanish soap operas, and I'm not going to say the Spanish name because everyone knows I'll get it wrong, but the characters that they play are named opposite of what they are. Charity does not give charity. Faith is not faithful. Chastity, well, you get that one.
You know what she does.
That's right. And who? And or would that be whom?
Or who? Who or whom?
Yes, group or singular. But Jonah means the faithful one, the obedient one. And so just like in the Spanish soap operas, the name is opposite of what he does, as you said.
Because he's not faithful, because he does the opposite.
Yeah, he wants to do his own deal. And so here he gets on this boat to go the opposite way. And if you look at how extreme the story goes, the metaphor that's in there, the mythos we talked about last week, it talks about here he is on the bottom of the boat, below the bottom of the sea, and he's snoring so loud that they can hear him over the storm that they're in, and it's making them crazy. So they go and they wake him up and say, "This is all your fault." He must have been a married man. And so they bring him up. He finally feels guilty. He says, "Go ahead, throw me overboard so this will all go away." I'm giving you the fast version of it, the Cliff Notes. And so he gets swallowed by this big fish. Now, why this is funny in Hebrew is because it's a male fish that swallows him. But because Jonah's in his belly, it's now pregnant. So now it's a female fish.
But you can't tell that in English because there's no really way to differentiate between, we don't have gender words in English.
Well, we didn't
we don't
translate
have we don't have male and female words. So they didn't say in this particular story of Jonah, they didn't say, and now the male fish is a female fish because it's pregnant with a disobedient person.
Right, and they didn't think about it in the translation. They just translated it what they did transliteration, word for word.
Right.
And so if you're of the Hebrew culture, this is exceedingly funny. They're stroking their beards like I used to have, and they get that little gleam in their eye that this is good stuff, all because he didn't want to do the will of God. And then finally, he comes out of the fish, and God does what he's going to do anyhow. So it's funny in Hebrew.
These stories are so, even, whether you're an atheist or a religious person, or depending on, what religion you just happen to be, any story like this can have value. It's just like some of the stories about the tortoise and the hare, or about the grasshopper and the ant, or these stories that convey meaning.
Yes.
It's not, nobody's worried about getting eaten by a fish these days if they don't necessarily do what a divine being asked them to do. But we all have been in a position where we know we need to do something and we just don't want to do it.
Well, look at the Aesop fables.
Right.
Have great meaning. You don't have to follow that mythology to get the value of it.
The boy who cried wolf. There aren't
Yes.
that many shepherds anymore, but still the point is the points of the story go on, forever.
Yes.
And so but it's also important to find humor in these stories because we take life so seriously. Religious people take life seriously. When I was in yoga, I remember when I was teaching yoga, I would crack a joke and people would look at me like, I don't know, like I'd taken my pants off or something like that. Like it was just such a foreign thing to make a joke in a yoga class because you had to be so serious all the time because you're being, you're connecting to your oneness or your chakras or whatever.
Well, people used to get very upset when they found out that for a whole year I did stand-up comedy while going through school so I could pay for school.
Because priests aren't supposed to be funny.
That's right.
That's right. You're supposed to, lull people to sleep so that they can have dreams about God. That's what you do as a priest.
But that goes against our Hebrew tradition because rabbis are great people. They were outrageous people, and they taught with humor. Who's our greatest comedy writers in Hollywood? Our Jewish brothers and sisters.
Very true.
Correct? And so they taught with humor. And so when Jesus came along, Jesus is Jewish. He taught with humor. And sometimes because of the transliteration, we miss this humor. We were talking earlier about the Good Samaritan. We call it the Good Samaritan. In Hebrew, there is no such thing as a Good Samaritan. They were the despised people. So we look at the Good Samaritan story as we translate it. And here's this guy who gets mugged. He must have been walking through Redlands.
Redlands is a very nice town. I live in Redlands. It feels very safe. We take our poodle for walks all the time, and I feel incredibly safe out there.
Well, you're the one that they should be afraid of. So anyhow, this guy gets mugged, and he's thrown into this ditch. He's almost dead. So the priest comes by, sees him, crosses the road, and goes on the other side so he doesn't have to help him. The same with the Pharisee, does the same thing. But here comes the Samaritan. And the Samaritan is the one who stops, bandages his wound, I can't even speak now. He pours. See, the idea of spilling wine just really gets to me. He pours wine and oil on his wounds, takes him to the inn, tells the innkeeper, take care of this guy. Here's money for it. If it costs more than this, when I come back, I'll pay for his keep. Now, what makes this funny is the Hebrew people who are listening to this. Who are supposed to be the good guys? The holy ones.
Everybody that walked by.
Everyone who walked by.
They're supposed to be the ones that are giving and loving and supportive and helpful, and they go all the way around.
Right. But the Samaritan, the despised one, the one that they would go miles around on their way to Jerusalem to not walk through their city because they're so despised, they're the hero, the protagonist of the story. And so here are the listeners, again, stroking their beards. Oh, God, I miss my beard. And
it'll grow back.
It will. It will. If you don't shave it, it will be there. So they're watching this happen. And to them, this is funny that the least likely person is the one who does the right thing. And it makes them laugh at their own religion a little bit. Now we say that and say, well, that's pretty dry, but it's like translating the joke. But in that culture, it was meant to be funny, to get them to laugh at themselves that, if you really think you're holy, you're not.
Well, and it is important to laugh at yourself. I mean, people take themselves way too seriously, and I know I'm guilty of that. But speaking of, giving money and giving people money, just like the Samaritan, we want to give a huge thank you to our Indiegogo supporters because this show does not just function in a vacuum. We do have to come up with some cash to make this happen. And so we want to say thank you to our Indiegogo supporters. Be like the Samaritan and give some money to us. And if you'd like to do that and if you'd like to donate, there are some great ways that you can help out. And there are some great rewards and earthly rewards for you if you do decide to help us out and give to us. So if you go on our Facebook page, The Gospel of Luke and John, you will find an amazing video that we did that we shot, edited, and produced in a day because we're that good. And that's who you're supporting. You're supporting talent like that. People that can do a video in a day.
Let's be honest. Tammy, our producer, is that good.
Tammy is that good, and Gabby got us where we needed to go and took amazing pictures of us as well. So bottom line, we really do need your help, so hop onto our Facebook page, go to the Indiegogo page. The donations, they're going to be available. I think we have 19 more days on our little pledge countdown thingy, whatever. There's a word for this that I'll come up with later, but I can't remember it now.
Well, that's fine. But while you did, I want to say thanks to a friend who always helps me out, and that's my friend Nikki Ho at Claremont Pharmacy. as I mentioned last week, I have type 2 diabetes. I have to use certain medications, certain supplies, and my hair is real blonde. So remembering things is not my forte. Nikki keeps me always on the right track. She always lets me know my prescriptions are ready to go. So if you're looking for a really good pharmacist at a really great pharmacy, Claremont Pharmacy in Claremont, of course, on Indian Hill and Aerial Highway. Boy, that worked out good. The Claremont Pharmacy, they put right in Claremont.
Claremont Pharmacy in Claremont. And there's an amazing book out there called Close Your Eyes So You Can See Me. I actually read it right after I met the author. His name is Father John Reed.
Hey.
And it is a fantastic read, and especially if you have questions about religion, or if you're just kind of not sure where your path is, or maybe you feel like you want to hang on to your religious beliefs, but you're not quite sure about the real literal kind of I don't know, you're just such an easygoing guy, and your book expresses the fact that if you choose to stay religious, you can still have fun doing it, and that religion can really be meaningful.
Well, thank you for that. And there's another reason to get the book, and that is it helps support our program. A portion of the purchase price goes directly to help pay for our airtime, so we can bring more of this show to you.
And we're going to be right back, and we're going to talk about some meditation and mindfulness.
Are you a business owner or entrepreneur? Maybe you manage a nonprofit. What are your dreams? What are your goals? Are you searching for that business breakthrough? Well, we have the answer. Radio. That's right, radio. 93% of Americans listen to radio each week, and Forbes magazine calls radio the captive audience that most businesses overlook. The second most popular radio platform is talk radio, which is what you're listening to right now. So what are you waiting for? Let's develop a plan to take your business to the next level and beyond. Go to lucascking.com and fill out the form. It's really simple. It'll pop right up when you get there. And I'll get back to you within 24 hours to set up a time for us to talk. That's lucascking.com. Lucas C, as in Carl, King.com. My name's Luke King. When I left the church, I had no idea where to turn. I lost my entire worldview. I knew deep down that it was possible to be a secular person and still add value to the lives of others. I just had no idea how to live that way. I read books, I searched for tips and ideas. I wanted to ask for advice, but I didn't even know who to ask. I became frustrated because it seemed like all the resources available were out to prove religion wrong, and that just wasn't my concern. My concern was, how do I live my best life today? Since I couldn't find the guidance I was searching for, I started the Your Atheist Pastor Show to document my journey. I love people. I still want to do good in this world. The only difference is that now I do it without God. I'd love for you to come on this journey with me. Just hop on iTunes, Google Play, iHeartRadio, anywhere podcasts can be found, and type in Your Atheist Pastor. That's Your Atheist Pastor. Welcome to church.
Where the bad folks going, they die. They don't go to heaven where the angels fly.
KCAA 1050 AM, 102.3 FM, and 106.5 FM, and online at kcaaradio.com. This is the Gospel of Luke and John. We're going to talk about meditation and mindfulness because it's something that they're buzzwords now. Everybody is into mindfulness. Everybody's into meditation.
Yes.
And when I was teaching yoga, I had a lot of questions about, can I meditate and still, be a Christian? Or can I meditate and still be, insert religion here? And then I'd also hear from pastors who were talking and saying, Western meditation is about filling your mind with good things, and Eastern meditation is about emptying your mind, and we don't want to empty our minds because the devil will come and fill our minds with all kinds of evil.
Well, there's some people who have more faith in the power of the devil than they do the good of God.
Ooh.
And that's a shame.
That's a good word right there.
And there's different forms of meditation and centering prayer. Why don't we go through some of this? You have meditation and mindfulness, which are interchangeable. They're forms of quiet awareness, just being aware where you are, what's going on. You can do this while you're sitting, standing, walking. When done laying down, it usually winds up going to sleep.
Typically leads to sleep.
However, Meister Eckhart said, let even your sleep be a deep meditation. Then we have contemplation, which is a little different. Contemplation is a form of sitting with something, an idea or a feeling, and letting the answers flow to you or in you about whatever it is you're contemplating. Then there's centering prayer. In centering prayer, we use a sacred word, such as you can use Jesus, you can use peace, love, light. It doesn't matter. You can make your own sacred word to bring you to a quiet space within yourself. When you find your mind drifting, we gently use our sacred word to bring us back to the sacred silence. And then lastly, there's Lectio Divina, which a lot of people in the Western world aren't real familiar with if you're not a monk. But what Lectio Divina is, it's a technique in reading from Scripture or other spiritual texts. You can use anything, really, that has a spiritual connotation to it. And we're not looking for one right answer. We're looking for however it speaks to you this time. And you can also use your sacred word for that, too, when you find your mind drifting. But you just read just a couple lines and sit in silence with it. Let it speak to you.
There's this great book called Celebration of Discipline by Richard Foster, and it's just absolutely fantastic. I had an opportunity to take a class with him when I was in college, and he talks about the different spiritual disciplines of fasting, meditation, Lectio Divina, what you were talking about. And even if you're not religious, there are a ton of benefits from this stuff. You don't have to be religious to get health people now suggest intermittent fasting is a health benefit. And we know the benefits of meditation. I mean, I have like 20 pages of just benefits of meditation, things like, reduced rumination, so you're not sitting around and like just going over all the bad things that happen to you. Literal reduction of stress simply by sitting down and focusing on your breathing. Yes. You can arrive at a much more peaceful state. You can relax your shoulders, you can sit up tall, you breathe. It gets you to a place of mental health.
Yes, in fact, we've done brain maps and watch the changes in the brain of people when they start meditating, how the different parts of the brain light up, particularly for the serotonin and dopamine. It brings some of those to light. We use it for post-traumatic stress disorder. We do it with people with violent histories that are trying to recover from that, adult children of alcoholics, many things.
But what's up with this fear of meditation? Because it seems like in some more fundamentalist movements or evangelical movements, the only form of meditation you can do is choosing a Bible verse and repeating that over and over again, or repeating something like, God loves me and wants the best for me and the devil isn't going to come and eat me, because that's the only way that you can achieve this oneness with the divine. Like, where's the fear?
Well, we always have fear for that which we don't understand. And for the Western world, contemplation went away for a long time. Thomas Merton brought it back for the Western world. Now, in the Eastern Orthodox, I'm not just saying this because I'm an Orthodox priest, it's just a fact of history. When the church split in 1054, one kept one tradition, another kept other traditions. And one of the traditions that the Eastern Orthodox kept was the contemplative prayer, the meditation. And in fact, as an Orthodox priest, I'm required at a minimum of 7 times a day to stop for prayer and meditation. That's not so in some of the other churches. It doesn't make us better. It's just that we find that it's easier for us to function and do what we think might be the will of God if we take time to listen.
I think another reason that people are afraid to meditate and that what makes them nervous, and I know this is my experience personally, when you turn everything off and when you're in a room, or you put your phone down, or you turn Netflix or Hulu or HBO or however you like to consume visual media, when you turn that off and you are sitting there with just you, it's almost terrifying.
It can be.
It is almost a terrifying experience to really face who you are and what you what you think, what thoughts pop into your head, how busy your mind is. It can be a really scary thing.
Absolutely. It's called the monkey mind in the East, and it's jumping from thought to thought. Yet Thomas Merton, with all the work he did with bringing contemplation back, was not afraid of Eastern meditation. In fact, he and Master Suzuki, who was a Zen master, would get together and trade meditative practices, and they benefit from each other.
So what is the definition, or what's the difference between Eastern and Western meditation? I mean, is there a difference? Is it just kind of one of these, has it melded together to a point now where they almost don't look like they're different because they're so ubiquitous in the culture and we see them all the time?
Well, when I do Chinese meditation, I want to do it again an hour later. Just kidding. Truth.
I didn't get that at first. I got it now, though. I like it.
Truth transcends all cultures. And they do come together at some point. But all religion does at some point, in the deepest, deepest level. Now, there's some that get really mad when you say that. And get over it. Just get over it. Because truth in its greatest posture encompasses all. And so they do come together in certain places. There's some places where they're very different. We have different sitting stances that we do from the Eastern to the Western. And that's okay. Whatever works for you. Make your own sacred place, your own sanctuary.
Yeah, I do my meditation in the morning. I don't have to do it 7 times a day. But I guess I probably could. That would probably make life a little bit better. But I do mine in the morning, and I try to set aside 10 or 15 minutes of just sitting down and breathing. And the advantage of having gone through yoga teacher training is that I do know several different of these yogi breathing techniques, which can sometimes make you feel sick and sometimes make you feel like you want to pass out if you do them wrong. I don't think they'll kill you, but they can make you feel uncomfortable. But I remember when I first started to try to meditate, I would sit there and I would close my eyes and I would breathe for like 10 seconds. And then all of a sudden I was thinking about what I need to do, what I want to watch. I need to scroll through Instagram. By the way, we're still looking for 100 followers, make ourselves feel better.
Yes.
But I'm amazed at how easily I'm distracted when I try not to be distracted.
Yes, and that's where the sacred word really comes in handy. If you cannot condemn yourself, don't condemn yourself for this happening. The mind, after a while, says, well, if you're not going to talk, okay, I'll be silent too. For me, that takes about 8 minutes into the meditation. I like to go about 20 minutes. But that's sometimes 20 minutes of dying. It really is. Just for that 1 second, I get once in a while of conscious unity. But that second is worth it all.
And so many people see meditation as a waste of time. They feel like, well, I could be doing so much more with the time that I have rather than sitting here and breathing. But I mean, this reduces stress. It can actually make your grades better. When they did a study at UC Santa Barbara, they found that college students who trained in mindfulness performed better on verbal reasoning sections in the GRE. And they also experienced improvements in their working memory. So if you have trouble remembering what you had for breakfast yesterday, doing this could actually help. It can improve your work. It can improve your life. There's just so much that it can help you with.
Including your circulation.
Really?
Yes, because you're doing good, healthy breathing. One of the things we do with people who are doing anger management, we do a very simple breathing exercise. It goes like this. You breathe in through your nose to the count of 7. You hold it for a couple seconds, and then you let it out your mouth at the count of 12.
Because when you breathe longer on the exhale, it helps slow down the heart rate. It helps relax everything. It's the parasympathetic nervous system, right?
Yes.
Is that the one? Yeah.
But also resets everything after you do it 3 times.
Nice. Yeah, those are helpful. And if you're looking for just ways to start meditating, I'm going to give myself a shameless plug right here. My podcast, Your Atheist Pastor, I publish midweek meditations. So I've recently been doing these meditations where there's one for going to bed. Most of them are when you get up in the morning, but it's a way for you to help reset and all these. John and I don't claim to be self-help gurus or anything like that.
No.
We need help. But one of the things that we want to do is we want to add value to your lives. And so many people ask me, and I'm sure have asked you, how do you meditate? Because it seems like this insurmountable mountain that people run across, because we don't even know how to take 10 minutes to turn our phone over.
Well, it has so much benefit. Even psychotherapists are starting to use it with some of their clients. I use it with my counseling clients, that I ask them at some point in their counseling with me, how much meditation do they do? I don't get into the religious beliefs too much, but how much downtime do they get? I'd like to give a few books that I think are helpful.
Please
if I may.
do.
Some of my heroes, and these books I've read myself, so I can really speak highly of them, is from Thomas Merton, Contemplative Prayer. Another book by him is Life and Holiness. Thomas Keating, Invitation to Love, and also Intimacy with God. David Fernetti, The Path of Centering Prayer. Anthony DeMello, who's one of my top heroes, A Way to God, The Song of the Frog, 1 Minute Wisdom, and then my top hero, Richard Rohr. If you haven't read Richard Rohr, you haven't really read the top yet. And 3 or 4 of his books that I really like on this is A Spring Within Us, Yes and. Those are both daily meditation books. Then he has Things Hidden, Scripture as Spirituality, Contemplation and Action. And I just have 2 more authors I'm going to recommend for Western meditation. One is John Philip Newell, Celtic Prayers. That's really a neat book. And then Joel S. Goldsmith, The Thunder of Silence.
Another great book for those of you, if you want something that's a little bit more on the secular side, Waking Up with Sam Harris is a great book, Spirituality for People Without Religion.
Yes.
And the whole beginning part of that book is all about meditation, mindfulness, and the benefits of it. We have a workshop coming up.
Yes. We're doing a workshop on grief at Mountain View Mortuary and Cemetery in San Bernardino. And you are welcome to come to that. This is going to be on the 29th of November, which is the Wednesday after Thanksgiving.
So the turkey will all be gone by then.
Yes, and the address for this workshop is 570 East Highland Avenue, San Bernardino, California. If you would please RSVP at area code 909-882-2943. Again, that's 909-882-2943. And Mountain View has been kind enough to give us the space to use and some light refreshments. But if you want to make a little donation towards the airtime on this show, they're gladly accepted, but it's not required. This is a free program to all.
You can also get on our Facebook page and you can RSVP there because we have the event created. Not only can you RSVP for the event, you can reach out to us and ask us any questions that you might have. If you want to tell us a little bit about the grief that you may be experiencing or that you have experienced, it would help us get a better idea of what direction you're coming from. But you can the Gospel of Luke and John Facebook page would be a great way to connect with us and let us know, kind of what you're dealing with and what's been going on. After the break, we're going to be taking phone calls at 1-909-792-KCAA, 1-909-792-5222, or you can get us questions at Luke John Gospel on Twitter, the Gospel of Luke and John Facebook, or on our Instagram page.
Are you a business owner or entrepreneur? Maybe you manage a nonprofit. What are your dreams? What are your goals? Are you searching for that business breakthrough? Well, we have the answer. Radio. That's right, radio. 93% of Americans listen to radio each week, and Forbes magazine calls radio the captive audience that most businesses overlook. The second most popular radio platform is talk radio, which is what you're listening to right now. So what are you waiting for? Let's develop a plan to take your business to the next level and beyond. Go to lucascking.com and fill out the form. It's really simple. It'll pop right up when you get there. And I'll get back to you within 24 hours to set up a time for us to talk. That's lucascking.com. Lucas C, as in Carl, King.com.
This is Dick from Carpet Masters. Carpet Masters has been serving the Inland Empire for over 60 years. We are locally owned and operated by the Stevens family. We not only clean carpet and furniture, we clean many loose rugs, including Oriental rugs. Oriental rugs are cleaned in our modern facility where the fringes are cleaned by hand, then hung in our modern facility to dry. We do not use steam cleaning to clean your fine furniture. Furniture is cleaned by hand using the same absorption cleaning used in the White House. Some furniture we bring into our plant to clean properly. We normally use 2 men on each cleaning job using the extraction method. There is nothing that would clean carpet better for our customers. Our job is to clean properly with quality first. Google Carpet Masters San Bernardino and give us a call, or go to carpetmasterssocal.com.
Classic cars and low riders are descending on the KCAA parking lot for a Halloween fun fest for all ages. It's the Trunk and Treat Sunday night, October 29th. Trunks of candy for the kids, food trucks, vendors, a DJ spinning your favorite dance tunes, community dancers, and a live radio broadcast. KCAA 1050 AM, 102.3 FM, and 106.5 FM invites all of the Inland Empire to join in the fun. Sunday night, October 29th in the Tri-City Center, 1378 Industrial Park Avenue in Redlands. Promotional fun and consideration to benefit nonprofit KQLH 92.5 LPFM. Bringing you the music of America's Main Street. Come on out. You'll have a scary good time.
KCAA 1050 AM, 102.3 FM, and 106.5 FM, and online at kcaaradio.com. We're also live streaming on Facebook. So Facebook Live, we're going to be doing our questions and answer time there. You can also call us 909-792-KCAA, 909-792-5222. And we had a question from our boy Nick this week on Facebook. Do Christians meditate? That was kind of something that spurred us in this direction. So, John, do Christians meditate?
Yes, some Christians do. It's funny how there are some parts of the Christian church that is so based on fear that they call meditation devil worship, which it's not.
And why? I mean, so is it that because Jesus doesn't specifically say meditate, for that is the way to heaven? Is that why people are nervous about it?
I guess that could be. But you know what? Jesus in the gospel does meditate. He goes out before anyone gets up and spends time alone in the desert. He spends 40 days fasting and praying in the desert. So Jesus meditated.
I had people come up to me a lot when I was teaching yoga, and they would say, my pastor said that taking a yoga class is worshiping the devil because these poses are dedicated to a god, from thousands of years ago or whatever, which, by the way, I think when I did my teacher training, one of our teachers, he said these poses were made up like in the 30s and 40s. They weren't necessarily made up thousands of years ago. Yoga's been around a long time, but your sun salutation C that you do in your yoga class has not been around for 5,000 years. So jump off that high horse. But the point is that I would always ask that person, okay, let me ask you a question. If I go into your church and I simply raise my hand, or if I bow at the altar, or if I take communion, or if I just do the practice, does that make me a Christian? And inevitably, the answer is no. So the follow-up question to that is, why? And the follow-up answer is, well, because it's about what you believe in your heart.
Yes.
And there, dear person, is your answer. It's not about doing a sun salutation. It's not going to send you to hell or anywhere else. It might send you to happiness because you are nice and flexible and you're learning how to breathe.
Does that include downward facing dog?
It does. It does. That's a really tough pose, though, for people that are starting out.
Yes.
We had another question this week via email. What's the difference between an atheist and an agnostic? You want to jump in? You want to tackle that one for a little bit? You want to jump in on that a little bit? And I'll add my 2 cents once you add yours.
Well, okay. I'm going to put my perspective on this.
Please do. I would love to hear it.
And then you can correct me.
Yeah.
An agnostic is someone who doesn't say there's not a God, but would like to be presented proof, some evidence that's tangible for them. Where an atheist, from my understanding, simply doesn't believe that there's a deity of any sort out there.
I would say that atheists are angry agnostics. That's what I'm just kidding. That was a joke. I think most atheists are agnostics. I heard Jim Jeffries, who's an Australian comedian, talking about he didn't like when people called themselves agnostics because he didn't feel like they were committed.
Right.
Because he felt like it was a soft atheism where most atheists live their life as agnostics, or most agnostics live their life as atheists.
Okay.
Bottom line is an atheist really has more, I would say that an atheist has more resolve in that they don't believe there's really even a possibility of a deity.
Okay.
But I would say that even atheists, if they were presented with proof, would change their mind. I think the difference is atheists kind of decide, hey, there is no God, and then they move on with life, and they keep, walking down the halls of life, pursuing their dreams, pursuing their passions, as if no God exists. A lot of agnostics I've met are people who may be spiritual seekers.
Right.
And they believe that there's something bigger out there. They just don't know by which name that something bigger goes by.
Well, another problem we have is there are certain parts of the Christian faith that if you don't believe in Jesus, you're an atheist.
True.
As far as they're concerned. And I just, that hardcore stance, it's no wonder people run away from that. There's an old joke about being Southern Methodists that why they don't make love standing up, right?
Because it leads to dancing.
It makes people, someone might think they're dancing, right?
But it's this, and I think what you're talking about is that there are fundamentalists out there who, if you do not confess with your lips and believe in your heart that Jesus Christ is Lord, if you don't do that, then you are on your way to hell. That's it.
Right, and I want to give you some very interesting background that is going to make a lot of people angry. Jesus did not say to worship him. Jesus said to follow him. If we were to follow Jesus, that means it wouldn't matter what we call ourselves. It means we'd be loving our enemy. We'd be doing good to those that persecute us. We would be feeding the poor. We would be nonviolent. All the things that we're doing right now, we couldn't be doing.
Nonviolent.
Nonviolent.
So can you be a Christian and be in the military?
Yes. You can separate the two. And it's a very difficult, conflicting thing. I think we have degrees of our faith. And the faith I had years ago, 28 years ago, 38 years ago, compared to the faith I have now, has all changed according to my experience with people. And what's funny is most of the people that converted me weren't Christians to begin with. They were people who just taught me about love and that there's something bigger than me in this universe.
When I was going through seminary, I had a professor who was part of the Mennonite tradition.
Oh, very
and
peaceful.
Mennonites are very peaceful. They're very nonviolent. And I was going to be a chaplain in the Navy, so I was very just war at that point in time. I wasn't at all about pacifist. And if you're not familiar with the distinctions that we're using, just war and pacifist basically agree up until a point. They agree that diplomacy and things like that are really valuable. Pacifists just believe basically when you get that there's never a reason for violence.
Right.
Just war people. There are reasons for violence. There are reasons for going to war. But I wanted to do an independent study. So my independent study was Christian views on nonviolence.
Okay.
And it was probably the best class I ever took. My final paper was, and I promise there's a point to the story, my final paper was to basically someone has come up to you and asked you why you are a nonviolent person. And I had to answer, I had to defend the nonviolent point. Now, when I was in chaplain school with 100 different chaplains from different faiths, many of them Protestant, but there was we had a rabbi, we had the only Buddhist chaplain in the Navy. I got to go through chaplain school with him. He's a really cool guy.
Yeah.
But everybody in the room from the Christian tradition was like, nowhere in the Bible does it say that pacifism is right. And here I found myself arguing for the nonviolent and the pacifist tradition, even though that wasn't something I came out of.
Sure.
That was a great story, wasn't it?
It's wonderful. Something to consider. Plato had more to do with the forming of what we have Christianity as today than Jesus Christ did. It was Plato who believed that God and nature were opposed, that spirit and flesh cannot be together. Jesus taught the opposite. Jesus was the embodiment of spirit, and he told us that we are too. He even went so far to say that these things I have done, you shall do, and far greater things shall you do. And that's what it meant to be a disciple, that you can do the things that your rabbi is doing. That's what it meant to take on his yoke. If a rabbi took you on, that meant he had great confidence in you. And the way that would work, until you're about 12, you would be memorizing the first 5 books of the Bible, memorizing it. Then you go to the next part, and you had to be able to do what's called midrash, which is discuss it, ask questions with it. Does it mean this? Does it mean that? And if you were the best of the best, you go to a rabbi, and you would say, I'd like to take on your yoke. And he would ask you questions and test you. And then if he thought that you can do what he did, he'd say, you can take on my yoke. But if not, he'd say, I see you love God, but you're not going to be a rabbi. Maybe your son. Go apply your family's trade. Now, I'm telling this story for a reason. Jesus is walking on the beach. And you and I have talked about this in the past. And he sees James and John. He sees Peter, the different ones. And he goes up and he calls him, says, come with me. The reason that they dropped their nets and went with him is because the rabbi chose them. Now, these are people, they're applying their family's trade. They were not the best of the best. They were much less than that. But I just see their James and John's father going home and saying, here they're the sons of Zebedee, and saying to his wife, do you see the boys with me? The boys are not with me. Do you know where the boys are? They're with the rabbi. They're going to be rabbis.
But it just shows how important it is to believe in someone and to have someone believe in you.
Yes.
I mean, that's you hear stories all the time about people saying, I felt like I was stupid, or I felt like I was this, or I was broke, and someone came and believed in me.
Yes.
And encouraged me, and it sets their life on an entire, on a whole new course. And it's valuable, I can see from a religious person, or from a religious perspective, it's valuable to feel like God believes in you.
Yes.
But as an atheist, you have to find that somewhere else.
Yes.
As a non-religious person, you have to find kind of this you have to believe in who you are, in your talents and your gifts and your abilities. And I'm not aged and experienced. I'm 32, so it's not like I've lived, I've lived a decent amount of time, but it just seems like everybody wants to tear everybody down.
The mark a good friend can make on somebody's life, you cannot put a value on that. I shared with you many times that the reason I was able to do what I'm doing is because of the fact there was loving people in my life. Even when I could not believe in anything, and I sure couldn't believe in myself, they believed for me. And I can remember someone saying to me one time, and I've said it to others, if you could see you as I see you, you would have no trouble loving you.
Wouldn't that be crazy? I've often wondered that. People have told me, oh, this is how I see you. I see you with this. I see you with that. And that's not a person that I see. That's
Right.
not someone that I see when I look in the mirror. When I grew up, I was like the weakest kid in gym class. So when someone is, the second weakest, I could actually bench more than the bar, but that was it.
There you go.
But I was. I mean, the entire gym class, I was like the weakest one there. And my entire life, I've struggled with feeling weak and feeling puny and like I don't, have a presence or don't have any power or anything like that. So when someone says, hey, you're intimidating or you're, whatever, like I don't see myself that way. And it's interesting when you can look at another person and say, this is what I see in you, and to watch those gears turn, because it's something that they've always wanted to believe about themselves, but they just never have.
And you can always tell when they really mean it, when they're not just saying it to make you feel good, but they really mean what they're
Right.
saying. That's the importance of mentorship. One of the problems we have today is we don't have a whole lot of elders. We have old people, but an elder is somebody who can love others and pass along wisdom. And right now we are suffering for elders. We really are.
Now, do you think that, I agree, and I think that it's twofold. I think number one, young people don't see any value in elders whatsoever. I think most young people don't. They see elders as like, that's an old person. I don't want to deal with that person.
Maybe, maybe not. I've worked with some young people that really valued what I had to share with them, but I had to first make it a safe place. And it's hard for a young person to get what an elder has to offer if the elder is starting out with no. The thing to start off with is yes, and then finding middle ground. And if you can do that, it's amazing the change that brings in a young person's life. There was in Africa, this is a true story, they're having problems with the young bull elephants that were destroying the environment. You know, the people, they had these Volkswagens, and these elephants were crushing them. And they're trying to figure out what's going on. And it turned out that with all the poachers, there was no elder elephants in the herd. So they went to another herd and got some of the old bull elephants, brought them in, the male elephants, and within a couple weeks, the young elephants stopped doing all the stuff they were doing. Just a little wiggle of the ear, a little noise that they would make. And the elder elephants are showing them, we don't live like that.
It's been difficult for me as a young man to work with older men because it doesn't feel to me like they want to let anything go.
Okay.
So to put it in, I guess I'll try to say it another way. It's hard, in my experience, getting back to most young people, I don't think value older people. But the other thing is, I don't necessarily know if older people want to pass on their experience. I don't think they want to pass on what they've done or the knowledge that they have, because they feel like the young person is going to come snatch it away and go, I don't know.
In some cases, that's true. I've been very fortunate to have some real elders in my life, and I've seen them have influence on other young people. So I guess it's situational, and we certainly don't have as many as we used to, but it's not extinct either.
Right. I mean, there are those people out there who are definitely, there was this wonderful man, a professor of mine at APU named Gordon Coulter. I don't know if you knew him or not. I'm not sure. He started, I think, the church's Neighborhood Christian Fellowship in Covina, and he passed away from cancer a few years ago. But he specifically, once he reached a certain age, said, it's time for me to step down and for the next generation to take over the church.
Yes.
And he purposely removed himself when he still could have been the senior pastor to allow someone else to do it. And I thought that was such a wise and beautiful way to pass the torch, to give guidance to people who needed it, because those of us that are younger, a lot of us crave that guidance. It just doesn't seem to always be there.
Well, what we're missing is what's called initiation. And
very true.
Tribal communities have always had initiation, where you went through the death and rebirth process, where you were absolutely afraid that you were dying in that moment, and you went from being a boy to being a man. We don't have that in America anymore. And that's why we lose a lot of this relationship between the elders and the young. But there are ways we can bring that back. There's organizations that can help do that. But it has to start from a position of love and respect. And we have to teach what love and respect look like, not just say, you need to respect me.
Well, that's true. And the last thing you see, I think that's one of the things that drives us for this show, is love and respect.
Yes.
Is love and respect for people with different life experiences or different educational backgrounds or different belief systems, but still the mutual love and respect that we can always teach someone something and we can always learn something from someone.
Well, even the word namaste means I recognize and salute the divinity in you. St. Francis of Assisi, one of my heroes, said to his priests, his friars, if when you are walking you find even a piece of the Quran, you are to pick it up, you are to kiss it, and you are to place it on the altar, because it too is a search for God. And so when we can start honoring one another's different view of God, and not saying I'm right, you're wrong, but instead say, okay, that's another way to look at it, that's when we can find peace.
Absolutely. This hour goes by so fast. This is the Gospel of Luke and John. Thank you all so much for tuning in tonight. Head over to Facebook, the Gospel of Luke and John. Our website will be up by next week, I hope. Luke John Gospel on Twitter and on Instagram. Thank you all so much for tuning in. We will see you next week.
Bye-bye.
KCAA Loma Linda, 1050 AM, 106.5 FM, and now 102.3 FM.
Hey Ryan, do we have any beer in the fridge?
Nah, I thought you got some.